Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and I'm so excited that we have Ambika Dani. She's the CEO and superintendent and founder of Promesa Academy. And just before we went on the air, I was remembering with Ambika, like back, so it was in fall of 2020 was the first Charter Moms chat that she was a part of, and that was when the school was just opening, but it was also like the school opened during the pandemic. So what a journey it's been, and I'm so glad that I finally was able to get on campus and take a tour. And I'm just really happy to be sharing the enrollment guide for Promesa and get to have a conversation with you about how the school is blossoming.
Yes, we're so excited to be here today. So thank you for inviting me to represent our school.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to plug for the website. So sachartermoms.com, and the Promesa Academy enrollment guide is on top today. But if you ever go, like, you can search in the enrollment guide, find Promesa, or just search in the articles. And that enrollment guide has lots of great information. But I'm really happy. There's nothing like having a conversation about it. You need to talk about the school and hopefully help families get curious about it and want to come and visit. So I want to ask you about, just for folks who maybe have not heard of Promesa Academy before, can you describe the mission and vision?
Yes, absolutely. I think a very short summary is that we want children to feel loved and children to love learning. And that is what my team and I live by every day. And it looks like children running into our building, being excited to be here, which is what we see every morning. And it looks like children being engaged in classrooms, asking deep questions, learning about the community that they're in, learning about the world that they're in. But that's a summary of what we hope to achieve, and we work towards that every day.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering if you could share, like, I feel like you have a really unique story about what inspired you to be a teacher, and like, and how long this process has been to come to fruition. So can you kind of share, like, when did you have that moment of realizing, like, that your life's work would be teaching?
Yeah, I grew up in West Africa in Lagos, Nigeria, and then went to boarding school in India. And the only reason I went to boarding school was because at the time in West Africa there wasn't a great option for a high school, and so my parents, against their own will, sent my sisters and I to boarding school. And I would come home every summer to my home in West Africa. And I remember my 10th grade summer, I came back and I was sitting there as a 14-year-old thinking, what am I doing with my life? I have no friends because they're all out of the city. There were no malls or movie theaters or anything of the sort back in at that time in West Africa, in my city in West Africa. And I asked my parents if I could invite some of the children of the people that worked in our apartment building, if they could come over and if I could teach them. And sure enough, that summer, my little group of 3 kids grew to 10 to 20. And every night from about 4 to 6 p.m., and it creeped into 7 p.m., sometimes I would be teaching and giving them snacks and just building this community, this little classroom in my living room. And I think as a young child, it was beautiful to have that experience, to be able to feel what it was like to be a teacher. But it was also heartbreaking because I had these children who wanted an education so badly. They wanted to learn, and I knew what their experience looked like in the school that they had access to. And I think from that moment onward sparked this journey of educational equity for me. I was fortunate enough to teach in two of the most innovative private schools. One was a traveling boarding high school around the world. I was teaching in Beijing and Sydney and Ecuador and Berlin. And through these experiences of seeing what education could be, I had this vision of what I would love, what this type of schooling I would have loved to be a part of as a child that I didn't have. And fast forward many years to me landing in San Antonio, I was trying to find out my place in the public education system. And I started to research the communities in San Antonio. I started to research the school districts and the charter schools, and felt the same inequities that I feel back home in India and Nigeria when it comes to education, when it comes to racial segregation, socioeconomic segregation, but also felt this beauty in the West Side community that feels very close to home because I'm Indian and it's very similar to the Hispanic community. And I saw parents making the same sacrifices for their kids that my parents made for me. Um, so if there's one thing I believe and that I fight for, it is access to a quality education. And when you put all of those experiences together, it made me incredibly passionate to start a school that I would be proud to send my own children to in the west side of San Antonio.
Yeah. Well, and I remember like our first meeting, I think I had my kids with me and it's the working mom thing. And so I asked if you would meet me at Hemisphere so that my kids could run around while we talked. And also I wanted, to help you get to know San Antonio. And like, we have a lot of really cool spaces here. San Antonio is a really culturally distinctive city, but I know you made an impression on me very quickly about like how dedicated you are and how much curiosity you have about things like math puzzles, right? Like the Bosco puzzles and the beauty of math and nature and things like that. And it's been wonderful for me to watch you on your journey as like from in your fellowship, like visiting lots of different schools and like taking elements that you appreciate and then incorporating those into the school you wanted to build, and choosing the 78207 zip code so that you can make that quality education accessible to families who hadn't had an option like that before.
Yeah, thank you for that. I remember our first meeting in the Hemisphere. You were one of the first people I met in San Antonio, and what a great one of the first people to meet.
Oh, thank you. So I wanted to ask you more about the academic model at Promesa, and I know that one of the things that was like, an early decision you made was that you wanted to have subject matter expert teachers. So I was wondering if you could comment on that, and also just kind of like what families could expect, and it's all part of educational equity. It's right. It's providing strong academics to students so that they have the potential to do all kinds of things in the future.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite pieces of the model as someone who was a high school math teacher and slowly creeped down into middle school and eventually said, if I don't go down to the elementary school, I can't fix all of the root causes I'm finding in the middle school and high school with kids coming to me with this negative impression of mathematics with huge foundational gaps in mathematics. And I remember I stepped into my first third grade classroom one year, not knowing anything about teaching third grade. But the level of discussion I was able to have with my third graders and their attitude towards mathematics, which was so positive, was something I had never seen in the middle and high school years. So I thought, how great would it be if we had people who understood their content at a high level, who were deeply passionate about it, teaching in the elementary years. And then coupled with that, as I spent more time in elementary schools, I looked at the level of responsibility on the traditional elementary teacher, from teaching math to reading to science to social studies. And just reading itself is such a complex subject to teach. There's so much in the science of reading to break down. And when you're working with 20 plus kids, that itself can take up all your time, that the idea of teaching everything is just unsustainable for teachers. And I think what we've seen over time, and it's a testament to the model, is that our teachers feel more sustained than teachers in other schools, that we have more time to plan, and that we can have deeper conversations across the K-5 spectrum, because now our kinder teacher has someone in first grade to talk to just about how does this mathematical concept extend into first grade for my kids who are ready for that. And those conversations are so powerful and really benefit our students. So it's an area of our school that I'm really excited about, and that I think teachers, as they learn about our school, they come towards us because they're excited to have more time to plan something that they love.
Yeah, and I'm thinking back about like when I was on campus, like there's physical spaces on campus that are geared towards reading, right? Like these really comfy reading nooks, right? And then areas geared towards math that have like manipulatives and like hands-on things for kids to do. So that that specialization. I mean, everything is beautiful and everything is an invitation to play, but there's areas that specialize on and there's that. That emotional component like that, like I know in the art classroom and in the reading classroom, like there's places for students to be able to calm themselves and feel relaxed and find their confidence to tackle complex concepts in math or texts that might be challenging for them.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think when we proposed our model, a lot of the pushback was around, well, it's so nice to have one teacher that knows my child really well and knows everything about their day. And yes, there's an element of communication as your child moves around the campus to multiple teachers. But what we see is that instead of having one adult that loves your child deeply, you now have five or six, and you have this entire teaching team around your child, to where if your child is having a hard time, there's usually someone in that team who knows your child so well that they can work with the team to figure out a way to support your child. And having those discussions about what works best for a child, where are their strengths, where are their areas of growth, is so powerful when you have more than one person talking about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I also want to ask about the like how the campus is set up, and there's some really unique learning spaces. Like I mentioned, like sort of there's these sort of areas where students can calm themselves, and but there's also like outdoor learning spaces, right? And like there's a big courtyard, and I know that it's very intentional to have like student artwork on the walls. So yeah, can you just like talk more? Yeah, and well, lots of like the students are indoors all the time. Like there's a covered play area, things like that.
Yes. Yeah, and we're actually getting ready to expand our playground. We have some construction going on. But it's our campus is centered around a courtyard, so a lot of our classrooms face towards the courtyard, and oftentimes teachers will take their classes outside to utilize the outdoor learning space. We have this beautiful covered outdoor pavilion, essentially an outdoor gym, which has been just a lifesaver during COVID times, but has now become this mark of our school. It's a beautiful structure. As you drive past our campus, it's the first thing you notice. And we do everything out there from events to PE to, I mean, we've used it for a numerous amount of things. And then every classroom we have quite a bit of natural light coming into the classrooms, which is really beautiful. And then they're facing the courtyard. In the classrooms, we have safe spaces in every single classroom. Even outside, we have a dedicated safe space, and we really teach our students how to use those spaces in the right way. So we talk to them about our feelings and how we might need a moment when we're having these feelings and how to regulate within that safe space. What are tools you can use, and then they can re-enter the rest of the space. And it's been incredible to me to see children as young as 5 years old successfully use those spaces in a way that us as adults oftentimes can't. But I think it's a testament to, if we have these conversations when children are young, imagine their potential to be able to regulate their emotions and engage in productive discussions when they're adults.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's so important. It's been a tough time for students, and but yeah, the more we can equip them with those skills, and have adults around them who they can trust and they can talk to. And I'm thinking about the girls talk club, right? And we were so grateful to have like so anyway, for anyone who's wondering what is she talking about, but there's a link in the towards the bottom of the enrollment guide post to it. Another post, but it was a guest post by so it was a time for girls after school. I'm not you can explain it better than I can.
I think we just saw a need that was exemplified during the pandemic for girls to have a space where they could talk about things that they were experiencing, about confidence, and grow as a community. We oftentimes find that as girls grow older, there's self confidence issues. There are girls and their social cliques, and so we really wanted to build a strong community amongst our girls on campus. And our science teacher, Miss Sanchez, and our amazing counselor, Miss Bree, came together to start this Girls Talk Club. And I think that's the beauty of the team that we have here, is we identify what students are struggling with in the same way that we try to identify what teachers are struggling with, and we try to find a solution. And one of the things that I forgot to mention that's really unique about our campus is our therapy dogs this year,
Oh yeah.
because it's our first year introducing therapy dogs, and we just so happened to have two teachers who'd gone through the training with their dogs by themselves and approached us about bringing them to campus this year. And having therapy dogs has been extremely therapeutic for not just the students, but also the adults on campus. There are so many teachers that will go find them or find the teacher whose classroom they're in just to go spend a couple minutes with them during the school day. And you can see this sense of relief and calm once you spend time with one of our therapy dogs. So it's been beautiful seeing the incorporation of that on campus. And I think every year we're thinking, how can we get better in these areas? How can we get better at academic growth, at social emotional growth, at the kinds of learning experiences that we're creating for our students?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's I've been following. I love seeing the pictures of the therapy dogs on social media. So I'll share some of those in the Facebook group for people who haven't seen them yet. But yeah, that's it's just like whatever bad mood you're in, you can't hold on to that when you're around
That
a really sweet dog like those.
Yeah, and I've seen kids that have completely shut down, and they spend a couple minutes with the dogs, and then they're ready to talk to us. So the dogs can oftentimes do more than we can do with all of our energy and all of our efforts.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really special. Yeah. So you mentioned construction on the playground area, but is there construction on the roadmap because of adding more grades? So I guess like the model was to add a new grade level each year.
Yes, and this year at our current site, we are at capacity in terms of our building space with kinder through fourth grade. So we are breaking ground here in the next few weeks on our new building, which will take us all the way up to sixth grade, and then we hope to break ground another year from now on the newest building, which will take us all the way up to 8th grade on this current site that we're at. We're lucky to have this beautiful 8-acre site with an easy traffic loop, which is very rare in the charter world. And then I think there's always a question about high school, and that's a question that we would like to explore with our board and our families as we grow out into the middle school.
Yeah. Okay. So in the current school year, it's grades K through 4,
Mhm.
and then then K through 5 next
Yes.
year with the construction that's ongoing, right? So okay. So and then um, yeah, and then I guess towards the end we'll talk more in detail about the how enrollment and how that works. But I just and families are always wondering like, okay, wait, what grade levels does this serve? And we always try to make it
Next year, at
really
least we'll make
clear
it
on the website.
traditional K-5 and not a K-2 or a K-3, so hopefully that's easier for families with siblings.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so another unique aspect about Promesa is that y'all have a very active parent organization. So I wonder if you could share more about like what they do because they are very active. They really support the teachers. Like teacher morale is really important, and they build a sense of community at at a new school. Like this is only year 3, right?
Yeah, I wish one of them was here to speak to it, but they're truly incredible. And this is the first year we've sort of rebranded from the Family Advisory Council to a parent teacher organization. I think a testament to how involved they are is our first in-person meeting this year. We had over 50 to 60 individuals show up for our meeting, and we're a small campus, so that was incredible to see that level of engagement and excitement. We're really lucky to have one of our families who serves as a parent engagement coordinator on campus, a family engagement coordinator, who is this connection between the school and the PTO. And the list of things she leads is it's beautiful, from our Promesa tree, where we engage with our communities to support families that need financial assistance during the holidays, to lunches on campus. So every single day right now, we have about 5 to 10 families that come to campus, and she facilitates them finding a space to eat lunch with their students. We're building a Dia de los Muertos altar for Hemisphere this weekend, and I just saw a couple families come in to help us set that up. They're setting up a Veterans Day display and bringing in some of our families who are veterans. And I really think it's their philosophy and their approach is how can we support our students and our school. And so we feel that love as teachers, as educators in this school. They are showering us with love. They are asking how they can help, and they're showing up for their kids. And the greatest thing we can ask for is a partnership when it comes to our students' education, and that is what they are doing in so many ways. So it's unlike anything I've ever seen. And I've worked in private schools, I've worked in public schools and public charter schools, and this is far beyond anything I've ever seen from family engagement.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've seen it myself on campus, and it's a really wonderful thing. And I think that it's something. It's like it's hard to describe it. I think families need to like come on campus and see. Like there will be yeah, treats in the teachers lounge, or events like the I remember going to the book fair and just yeah, it's it people talk about how important that is, but it's rare to see it really come to fruition the way it has at Promesa.
And I think part of what really helped that was we recognized our first year the value that our families had. And the only way to cultivate that is to dedicate time and resources to it, which is why after the first year, we have now a family engagement coordinator, because that is such a critical piece of who we've become. And if we don't show that in terms of where we're dedicating our resources and time, then it won't develop to what we think it can be.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like you've already given me so many good examples and stories, but are there any more things you can point to that will help families appreciate like what the school culture is like at Promesa?
Yeah, I think it's incredibly special, and I think one of the most beautiful things is seeing the growth in our students in terms of who they are and how they embrace themselves. One beautiful kiddo that I can think of who had was virtual for a while, and when she came back in person, hesitated to walk into the door every day, and it was a struggle, and had a lot of like negative self talk. And through our teachers working with her has come to a place where she's walking the hallways and saying, I am brave, I am powerful, I am smart, I am kind. So to take a child who was terrified of school, who didn't have a positive impression of themselves, and turn them around to where they are walking in school, they're excited to be around friends, that to me is invaluable. Because once we have kids who feel loved and safe and who love themselves, they can do anything. And then on top, after we do all of that, we have these beautiful learning experiences that we're creating, and we're seeing huge academic gains with most of our children because they're excited to be here and they feel safe and they feel loved. And the beautiful thing is after, like, because we have a campus that models that with children see those interactions between us and other children, and now we start seeing it between themselves. So just the other day, one of my staff members sent this picture in our group staff chat about a child who oftentimes can need a break, helping another child who is having a bit of an emotional meltdown and saying, come with me, let me take you for a break. We just need to take a break. And seeing a child being able to help another child regulate, I mean, that's beautiful. And that's, again, a testament to the way that teachers are modeling that for kids, and then how we're just making sure that children feel safe and comfortable and know that that's something that's okay to do.
Yeah, it's spreading goodness in the world, and it's equipping students with the tools to do that in their own lives, and then helping other children to do that. That's a life skill
Yes.
that will last for many years. Yeah, yeah. No, that's really beautiful. Yeah. Well, so I want to make sure we cover like how families can. I hope families are excited and curious, and want to see Hermesa for themselves. So what are some good ways that families can do some research and find out about like see Promesa, and then figure out the enrollment process for. Are there openings for the current school year
There are
in
a few
fourth grade?
openings in
Okay.
first grade, and one or two in kinder and second grade. So it's not too late to apply for the current year. If you go to our website, that's the easiest place to start. You can also contact us via Facebook or Instagram, or call our number 210-942-1700. We reply very, very quickly. It is something families are often surprised by. They submit an application or a form, and someone's calling them within a few minutes to talk to them and introduce them to the school. And we're always willing to tour families around. There aren't set times. We're willing to work around your schedule. I think it's so powerful seeing it for yourself and then determining if it is a space for your child. We try to be a space for everyone we can be, but every family knows their child best. And so we really want to make sure that you feel comfortable with that decision.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so you mentioned in a few grades there's openings for the current school year, and then there's an enrollment timeline for families who are planning ahead. So, like maybe they have a 4-year-old and they're thinking ahead about kindergarten. So November 1st is when
November
the open
1st.
enrollment starts. Okay,
Yes, for the 23-24 school year. And then we close those applications in February to run our lottery, and we'll continue to accept them if we have open seats.
okay, got it. Okay, so and yeah, so November 1st is the beginning of open enrollment for the families planning ahead for the. It feels weird to say this, but 2023-24 school year. And then
Yes,
if they get the application in before February 10th, that's their best chance because all those applications go into the lottery. After that, they'll just get added to the waiting list. And
exactly.
they still might have a chance. It's just the best chance is to apply during open enrollment.
Yes.
Okay. And then so it's kindergarten through 4th grade in the
Mhm.
current school year, and it's going to go up to 5th grade
Fifth
for
grade
the.
next.
Okay, got it. Okay, all right. So yeah, and then I guess yeah, PromesaAcademy.org is the great way to fill out the form, get the contact information, social media. I know in the Charter Moms discussion group that y'all have been if somebody posts a question about Promesa, they might get an answer right there. They're able
I'm always happy to
to message that
answer.
way.
Yes.
Yeah,
Answer or just reach out to us directly. We love being able to answer questions and also just be able to talk about education options as a whole. You are the best resource for that, but if we can be another resource, we are happy to be.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's great talking to you, Ambika. I'm really proud of what you're building, and I'm happy to be able to play a small part in making more families aware of it. I hope that they come and visit and see for themselves, and maybe they'll get lucky and get to see one of the therapy dogs.
They're usually here, so it's a good chance that you'll get to see them, and we appreciate you, Inga, and you've played a big part in helping us come to life. So thank you, and we welcome anyone who'd like to come visit our campus and see if it's the right choice for your child.
Yeah. Well, Ambika, it's wonderful to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing you out in the community and getting to visit Promesa again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Inga.
All right. Take care.
Bye.